All right, guys, so this is gonna be where it's kind of the meat and potatoes. This is gonna be your entire load-based workout. This is where it all is actually going to occur. So the only thing that's gonna change from time to time as you go through the program is this will go from, today we're gonna do 3 total working sets. By the end of the program, you're gonna be doing 9 total working sets. We're gonna do a couple of intensifiers. So I'll actually show on your last set today basically what the end of the intensifiers will be so people can see it and know how to do it. And so people know too, this is the first time Aaron and I have gone through this. So obviously I'm explaining to him, hopefully you guys will get all the information that he's gonna get and then all the form cues that we're gonna get. We're always gonna do basically in one spot, essentially 3 different exercises, just for the way that your calf and every muscle in your body is as far as how it produces strength and where it's strong and where it's weak. So one of the big mistakes everyone makes with calves, it's kind of twofold, is one, you see the guys that will put the entire like calf raise machine like on the whole stack and then they'll just kind of like bounce at the bottom, like do just really like short, like bouncy reps. Your calves are actually really strong in that position, in the lengthened position. So people will go there where they can, if you're just bouncing, you're just using your tendon, but some people will actually do contractions there, but you're basically only loading the calf in one spot where it's actually strong. The problem with every muscle is like, as you get close to fully shortened or fully contracted, so as we get to that end position, you're always gonna be the weakest there. So it doesn't matter like how awesome you are, you have to use less load training it here than you would basically training it here. So people make a mistake 2 ways. Some guys only do like the whole bouncy bounce thing because they want to use a lot of weight, so they just use like this really short range like down there. And then some people, because they really want good strong contractions and that good feeling, they only use really light weight and they only train to where they can get to this fully shortened and fully contracted position. So we're going to do 3 sets basically with 3 different weights. So even when you're doing working sets, eventually you'll probably have the same weight for your first 3, light sets, which I say is when you're going fully shortened or fully contracted. We'll do today, so it's gonna be 1 set like that, then we'll do 1 set in the middle, which will be what you'll feel like is like, you kind of have to use your own discretion a little bit, but like basically 90% of the range of motion. So you can't quite get all the way those super toes pointed position, it'll probably be like right around here. And then we're gonna use 1 more weight, which will be your heaviest weight, where you're gonna use like basically something you can only get to like there, maybe 75% of range of motion. And then we'll even do like partials and all that bouncy bounce kind of stuff to extend sets and basically make it harder. So for first set, same form things that we already kind of went over there. So for you guys doing the program, if you have a 45-degree calf extension, great, because these are a lot of places, but you could also use a leg press pretty much just as easily. So whether it's a plate loaded or it's like a selectorized leg press, that's aside from the fact that it's a great exercise. And one of the other reasons we picked this machine and that equipment is so everybody can do this. It's like 99% of people, if you have a gym, will at least have this, will at least have some version of leg press, and will be able to do this program. So when you're up and in position, you want to be in a spot where you can keep your knees fixed so they don't have to be fully locked, but you don't want them fully bent either. So it's wherever you can comfortably keep them still. So if it feels good to keep them locked, you can keep them locked. I like to keep mine just a little bent and then make sure you keep them still there. The one main thing you want to do is make sure that you're not letting your knees move as you go. So if you're doing your raises and your knees are moving like this, then you might want to just go ahead and keep them locked just to make sure that nothing's moving. And then from there is making sure that everything kind of stays like right in this plane. So it's the same thing we kind of showed over there. You want to make sure that as you come to the bottom, your toes aren't turning out, or as you come to the top, the same thing, you're not kind of rolling your ankles out or doing something weird. Like you want to feel like everything stays like in this perfect line the whole time. So the first reps, we're going to go all the way down. We're just gonna make sure we got a little pause. So for every single set, little pause, and then as high as you can possibly get them with that same cue, thinking about ankles forward. We're gonna do a 2-second contraction here, and then back down nice and controlled. So right here, then all the way up, hard squeeze, 1, 2, and then down controlled, little pause, all the way up, 1, 2, and so on. And we're gonna keep these around like 10 to 12 reps, every single one with a 2-second pause at the top. So for you guys at home too, all this stuff, you want to use the heaviest loads that you can use, making sure you're actually getting to these positions. So relatively speaking, this will be the lightest weight, but over the course of the program, this weight should get heavier, your middle range weight should get heavier, and obviously your shortest range of motion, your heaviest weight should get heavier. You just got to be honest with yourself. Like for these ones, am I still actually getting to this position? If you can't get there, then you need to lower the weight. Or if it gets too easy, then that's obviously when you need to increase the weight. So go ahead and turn this thing just a little bit that. So turn your, yeah. So it's almost like, you don't want to quite be pigeon-toed, but almost feeling like you're erring that direction is a good way to go. And actually take your feet just a little closer together. So if we have everything pretty much lined up like hips, knees, ankles, that'll keep you pretty honest. Yeah, that's about good there. All right. So all the same cues that you want over there. So that's the whole point of that practice in the beginning is nice slow negatives, little pause, make sure you don't bounce, and then hard up, feeling like you're pushing the ankles forward, squeeze, 1, 2, and then back down slow. Hard up, squeeze, 1, 2, back down, control. Hard up, squeeze, 1, 2, and go ahead and slide your feet up on the platform just a little bit. That's a big thing for you guys too, is make sure you're on the ball of your foot, not your toes. Some guys say that their feet really start to hurt when they do calves. Sometimes that's because you're pushing through your toes too much. Hard squeeze, 1, 2. Again, turn those heels out just a little bit. There you go. And hard squeeze, 1, 2. Down slow. Squeeze, 1, 2. Hard squeeze, 1, 2. Let's go 3 more. Hard squeeze, 1, 2. Down a little slower. Hard squeeze, 1, 2. Down a little slower. There we go. 1 more. Hard squeeze, 1, 2. Down slow. Good. Take a little break. You waking up? Yeah, sweet. Feeling like
I haven't done calves, like direct calf training in years.
Yeah.
And because of you told me hold up.
Yeah, we'll get going. So for everybody watching too, like this is like your first workout is going to be like this, where you kind of have to figure out your workouts. So I honestly, whether if you've got a great memory, great. If not, you kind of have to track your weights a little bit, so you kind of know, okay, well, like ultimately today I'm just going to guesstimate. We'll use this weight. You know, I'd rather err on the side for the first workouts of a little bit lighter, because I want to make sure the form's perfect, and then you can always go up. So it's always okay to be like, oh well, instead of hitting 10 reps, when I really went all the way where I could go, I hit 15.
Should you always, every workout, try to be making some sort of progress with weights, or is it more like
You just kind of have to be honest with yourself. So it's like everyone, the pace at which people can progress in weight is going to be dependent a little bit on genetics, but also a little bit on form. So not a bad thing, but there's going to be someone that lets their form slip a teeny bit. So they're going to let their weight go up a little bit quicker. Someone that's a little stricter with their form might not go up quite as much. So you'll know. I mean, the easy thing will happen is if you have the rep range, you're trying to keep all these 10 to 12. If you can, honestly, you're going as hard as you can, form as perfect as you can, and you overshoot your rep range, then that's easy. The next workout, you try and up the weight. You know, so depending on like, the reality is if you're actually pretty good at tracking your weight and knowing that some workouts you might only be putting like 10 pounds on, which almost no one does on like a calf raise machine when they really should, then yeah, if you're doing small progressions, you might actually add weight fairly often. But if you're the kind of guy that's like, oh, I did 2 plates this time, I want to do 3 plates next time, then in reality, it's like if you make those big jumps, you're probably going to either like, you'll have to either start to really cheat with your form just so you can try and like hit your rep range, or you'll go from doing like 10 to 12 reps down to doing like, I can only do 4, you know. So that's one of those things, like that part of it, you know, kind of we talked about in one of the videos a little bit, is like balancing that is the hardest part of the whole program of like, oh, how do I actually know that I'm moving up in weight appropriately, working as hard as I could appropriately without shitting the bed with form. And like that's like everything that is muscle building, and that's why everyone's not huge and jacked and has great body parts, is because some people have a hard time like balancing those two. So that'll be like one of the biggest challenges for you through the program. If your calves don't grow 2 inches, that's what I'm going to blame on you, that you didn't balance those well.